Hello and welcome to our program, Where God Weeps, a program where we speak about the situation of the suffering church around the world. Today we're going to be considering the country of Tanzania, home to Mount Kilimanjaro, the Serengeti Plains, the Zanzibar Islands. It is also home to about 130 different ethnic groups. To tell us more about the situation of Catholics living in Tanzania, it is my very great privilege to welcome His Excellency Bishop Severine Niwemugizi, the Bishop of the Rulenge-Ngara diocese in Tanzania. Your Excellency, thank you for being with us here today in our program.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Your Excellency, over 75% of Tanzanians live in rural environments. Is this also the environment in which you grew up?
Yes, I was born in a village, very deep in the, you can say, in the bush. My childhood up to the age of going to school, all has been living in a rural area.
Were you many in your family?
No, we were not. I don't know if this is fortunate or unfortunate, because from my parents, we were only 4.
Did you grow up in a typically Catholic family?
I can say yes, because my parents were all baptized Catholics, but they were baptized as adults. So we came to be taken care of by Catholic parents. So
the environment is traditional religion then? And what would that mean? What would we understand by traditional religion?
Yes, because despite the fact that our parents were already baptized, we were living in a village where people have their own ways of knowing God, adoring God, you know, their relationship with God. So we would see people going to make offerings under the trees, and we would go to the church.
When the missionaries came, were the people ready to receive Christianity? If you say, because you've mentioned that the people were already making sacrifices, already with a sense of a spirit of one God, perhaps.
At the beginning, it wasn't easy, because this was kind of a new thing coming in. Of course, I'm born already, Christianity was in my area more than 50 years already, but yet it was kind of still a new thing. And so very few people were being baptized, and a big number were still kind of suspicious, you know, they're seeing what is coming, what are these people doing. But slowly, they took it. And I can say when I came to the age of 20, my village was almost all Catholic.
And your own vocation, when did you have a sense of your vocation?
Yeah, that's a good question. I started feeling being called maybe to the priesthood when I was in primary school.
Oh, so young already.
Yes, because you see, as you asked me the family background, and I said, well, we were all brought up in a Catholic family, and maybe my formation was a bit very hard, because Sunday was really an obligation. So my father would just say, whoever doesn't go to church, there is no food. And you can imagine when you are a young boy.
That's important.
You know, whether you understand or not, so you have to go. And so right from my early childhood there, I'm used to go to church.
Was it far?
Yes, it was about 5 kilometers. And so I was used to going to church. And from there, then I come to start primary school. I feel I have to go to church. And then I was fortunate that already after class 4, I go to the boarding school by the support of some people. And every day, we were going to Mass. I was lucky to have that opportunity because not everybody was, had access to this.
God put these people in your way.
Yes. So already in my primary school time, I'm in close contact with the church. And from there, before I ended my primary education, already I felt I could be maybe one of those people at the altar. And so that idea came in. After that, I went to a public secondary school, a government secondary school. And there, my prayer was, Lord, help me to get a job after my secondary school education. I do not want to have a long training, just a short training, and then I get employment so that maybe I can help my parents who were poor. But to my surprise, after my secondary education, a strong urge came in, and I can't tell why and how, but it just came in. I felt I want to become a priest.
You were ordained a bishop at a very young age, at the age of 40.
Yes.
That must have been a bit of a shock for you.
It was a big surprise to me because I had never expected of, besides being a priest and working, because my desire was just to preach the gospel. And besides that, I didn't expect getting any higher position at the head of the diocese.
You must have wanted to run away.
It was a shock to me, and I told my apostolic nuncio, why me? And he said, well, someone has to be hanged on the cross.
So you understand it as a cross, or how do you understand your vocation?
Yeah, it's really a cross in the sense, looking at the challenges that our people have and looking at the way people are saved, to meet their needs. You really see this is a cross. Because you imagine preaching to someone who is sick, preaching to someone who is hungry, preaching to someone who has no education. It's a cross, really. And so I was really shocked, and I said, why me to this cross?
Tanzania is in a privileged situation, one of the more, let's say, better off countries in Africa, if you will. It has relative peace, which we'll come to later, but also economically. Since 2006, the country has had a growth rate of about 6%. You have diamonds, you have gold, you have natural gas, you have coal, you have all the minerals in the ground. A source of optimism is this for you, and yet at what time, what challenge does this bring to the country?
You are right saying we are really rich, and yet we are very poor. Some years ago, the founding president saw that really Tanzania was very rich, but he knew the limitations that the country had. We gained independence in 1961, and there was almost nothing, because of the colonial situation. We don't want to enter into that. So we didn't have experts, we didn't have, the technology and so forth, You were starting from zero. Yes. So he said people wanted to come already to explore the minerals we have, and he refused. And people said, why is Nyerere refusing to accept people to explore the minerals here? And he said, time will come. Time will come when we shall be able to explore the minerals ourselves and change our situation. Unfortunately, his dream has never become true, because despite all this richness we have, the situation is not better.
You still have, for example, 20% of the population living under the poverty line.
Yes.
And that, for a country as wealthy as yours, begs the question, where's the problem?
Yeah, we have a lot of challenges, but one is maybe selfishness the leadership of the country, maybe, I would say, really has a wish really to change the situation of the people. So whoever comes to power has only self-interests, and that has made us remain poor as we are.
Corruption.
Because corruption is rampant there, and the people from outside, the outsiders, they know. They know just corrupt leaders, and you have anything you want, and people will remain the same. So this is the situation that has kept us so poor, and we are crying. I don't know who is going to help us, because people have been saying, well, we want to help you, but always the conditions, you have to give minerals.
So there's always a price. There's always a price attached.
Yeah. So it is very unfortunate that we are in that situation, but the hope is still there. Maybe one day we shall have to, we shall be able to explore these resources and change the situation of our people.
One area of hope, if you will, and a unique situation among many African countries is the fact that you have over 120 different ethnic groups in Tanzania, and yet you haven't suffered the same civil or inter-ethnic tribalism and violence that has afflicted so many other African countries. Why is it that Tanzania somehow has been able to maintain this relative calm between all of its tribal groups?
Yes, we are really grateful to God that we have been so peaceful so far. We are saying so far.
So far.
But thanks to the founding president, Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere, who was a son of the chief, but when he came to power, he realized that it would be very difficult even for him, to rule the country, to govern the country, if people are not united. And so, maybe by the grace of God, he tried to bring the people together. And it is this unity that he created there, he brought to us, that has kept us. So he made sure we have a language.
One language.
One language. And we are proud of this Kiswahili language, because you go from the north to the south, you speak Kiswahili, despite all the 120 and more, because if you have the dialects, then you have more than 130, and you are understood. And that has kept us one. But of course, he taught us some values, to value the human being, to see, you are my brother, she is my sister. And so we have remained as a people. And this has helped us, to remain so peaceful. There are attempts, of course, to divide us, but thank God, up to now,
it's been stable.
We are stable.
Which is, as you say, you have had temptations and probably pressures from outside as well. One of the pressures, of course, is that you're bordering Burundi and you're bordering Rwanda. And sadly, we know of the civil strife and the violence that has occurred in both of these countries. How has this spilled over the borders? You have had refugees coming into Tanzania and you have welcomed them. What pastoral challenge does this mean for you as a church, and how as a country have you been able to respond to this question of refugees?
My diocese actually borders Rwanda and Burundi. And so the first person to receive the refugees is the Bishop of Rulenge-Ngara. Before I was ordained bishop, that was back 1996, already in 94, we had, in the diocese of Rulenge-Ngara, at that time, more than 700,000 refugees.
After the genocide.
It's difficult to understand, people to understand this, but this is a fact.
Almost 1 million refugees.
Yes, because they all crossed from Burundi, from Rwanda, they all came. And the first person to attend to these people was the Bishop of Rulenge.
Yeah, I was going to say that Pope John Paul II noted this, and he said that Tanzania has opened her arms in a gesture of Christ-like welcome. And my question to you, though, is, was it always so Christ-like? Was there not, of course, you at some point you encounter fatigue from the refugees, from the demands, the integration, all the challenges that this brings. How did you manage this on a day-to-day basis?
Yes, you see, when I came in as bishop, I said, yes, we can say mass to the refugees, we can administer sacraments to the refugees, though in a limited way, because also the personnel in the diocese is so limited. The priests, the sisters we have is not big. But my question was, till when shall we remain doing this? Humanitarian assistance, yes, but till when? I said, but there is a reason why these people are coming here. The international community is always concerned with humanitarian assistance, and it's only limited to that. Nobody attempts, to look behind and see what is the root cause and work on that. So my first reaction was, what can I do, to help address the root cause of my brothers and sisters, to run away always, because this situation in our neighboring countries there has been there for years and years. And so we started thinking of a program that we can work on to address the root cause.
A quick question, what do you identify as the root cause? I mean, of course, there's the ethnic Hutu, Tutsi, particularly in Rwanda.
Yeah.
But in this country, the devil had his day. It was unimaginable. The 800,000 were killed within 100 days.
Yeah.
It's a spiritual root cause, and then if so, what is that spiritual root cause?
Yeah. You see, the Word of God has not transformed really the heart. The missionaries did their job in the way they did it, but unfortunately, I have to say, it has never really transformed the heart. We have remained on the rituals side there. If I go to church, I've done my job, and that's all. But really, to touch the heart, to convert and say, yes, Christ has made us sons and daughters. We are one people. There is no Greek, there is no Jew. This has never come. To say we all have equal rights before God. There is no one is more equal than the other. That has never come. And so, if that is the case, then there is no respect to
anyone,
to any rights, to the rights of people. One sees I'm superior, and the other one has to always to save me. This is the situation there, and nobody is trying to address that.
And
unfortunately,
and still not today. I mean,
yes, to date,
the explosive situation in Rwanda has not gone away. And
I have always said, well, the refugees went back, but time will come, they will come back again to us. Unfortunately, and nobody wants to accept that.
No, we don't want to hear it.
Yeah, that's the problem. Because always, when there are refugees, then the international community comes in, then aid, comes in.
Like a Band-Aid over the situation.
But when they are back, then they say the problem is over.
And the wound is still there.
Actually, the problem is not over. I'm saying this.
Your Excellency, I want to touch briefly on another wound in Tanzania, and that is the question of AIDS. 1 million adults living with AIDS in Tanzania. What challenge does this face for the social structure within the country, but also for the church?
Yeah, you can imagine if a bishop or a priest has to attend to dying people, but dying because of AIDS. You go to a community, you go to a family, you have several people there affected, and they are, economically, of course, you have the manpower.
The loss of economic livelihood for the family.
Yes, and then, of course, you have the outcome, parents dying, the children are there, they are orphans.
I think there are something like 2 million child orphans in Tanzania.
Yes, and, when you are in the office and every day you have a child coming to knock on your door as bishop, I have nothing to eat today. Bishop, I can't go to school because my parents are, died because of AIDS. This is the situation I'm living in. And you say, but what can I do? You say, okay, I try to help, but how many are you going to help? As you are saying, there are millions of children, in that situation. So it's a big challenge that to really take it, maybe you need a special grace. But this is there.
Many would suggest that the condom is the solution for AIDS in Africa. What is your opinion about this? And if not the condom, then what is the other alternative?
Despite the voice of the church against it, the condoms we know have been distributed to people, and yet contraction of the virus is spreading yet.
And continues to grow.
Yes. You see, addressing the issue of condoms is very complex. But I say, if, for example, people are still poor, a lady is there, she's left with 5, 6 children, she has no income, and she thinks what to do, to have my kids eat, to have my kids go to school, to have my kids, go to hospital and get medicine and so forth. You can imagine all sorts of things that can come in there. So poverty is there. We have the issue of alcohol. If people are drunk, the condoms are in their pockets. They will remember the condoms tomorrow, when they are already have contracted the virus. But you ask me, what is the alternative? I think still, I believe, in the formation.
Education.
Education and formation. The values of life. Do people value life? If they do, then you have to think twice. Because the condom is used for various reasons. Some use it, for against conception. But when someone just, allows himself or herself, to get involved in those relationships, without, being serious of what is the outcome of this, then we are in a big problem.
I want to come briefly to the question of your diocese. Catholics make up approximately half of the 1.2 million in your diocese, and yet you only have 60 priests serving. What does this mean for the average parishioner?
Parish priest, and he has to serve a population of maybe 16,000 people, Catholics. He has to have, small churches here and there. He has no means of transport sometimes. And people maybe would see a priest after 2 months. People here can't understand in Europe, for example, how a priest can serve more than 16,000 people. It's
unthinkable.
Yeah, it's unthinkable. Here, one goes out of the house, the parish priest. Next is this is the village here. This is the community. So he's in between the people there. But for us, you have to travel 30 kilometers, 35 kilometers to get the people.
On poor roads.
On poor roads. It's very difficult. Very difficult.
A typical challenge in many African countries is the fact that the priest often has to work aside of his normal vocation as a teacher, for example, just to earn the money to live. Is this also the case in Tanzania?
No, it's not. As I'm telling you, a priest has no time to rest, to serve these people here. A priest in a village, where there is no car, there is no he's sometimes himself a teacher, he's himself a medical assistant, because he has to see, the situation of his people. There are sick people there, he has to make sure they come to hospital, So he's always busy the whole day.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, he's finished. So he has no other work to do besides looking at the flock. And so people do not understand also here in Europe when we say our people, our priests do not have a salary, and they do not understand. They ask themselves, how do they survive? This is the life we are living, my dear brother. I'm there, and maybe sometimes people think, oh, the bishop has maybe some money, he has a salary himself. I do not have anything, and yet I have to work for the people. I can tell you, when I became bishop, people came to visit me, and a family from Germany came to visit me. The wife feared to enter my house. But otherwise, for the other needs, our priests are in big trouble. And this is affecting the vocations. It has an impact on this because the young people...
The young man, he looks, he says, yes, what kind of future do I have?
In the past, a priest in a village was almost a king. You know, he was alone with maybe a motorbike. But today, the situation has changed. A priest now is, you know, priesthood is no longer...
a privilege, if you will.
No, it's not. And so, and then, of course, we have to be very open to the young people, to the people. A priest has no income, has no salary, and this scares the young people. So they look at that and then they listen. A vocation without any salary, without any security, how can I live? And so this is the situation. So when you see someone really coming to the priesthood in my area, then you have to understand that there is a vocation there.
This person has chosen.
Yes. Really, it's really giving up life for the others. And this is the life of a priest in our diocese.
Your Excellency, thank you for having been with us today in our program.
Welcome.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for having been with us today in our program, Where God Weeps. And if you'd like to know more about the situation of Catholics in Tanzania, or perhaps how you might be able to help, I would encourage you to look at the contact information at the end of this program. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.